people are still making their New Year's resolutions and contemplating what their predictions will be. We're going to explore some of those things ourselves with our guest today. I'm excited to announce we have Pej Roshan. He is the Vice President of Mobility at ShoreTel. He was the co-founder, actually, of Agito and led his team there as a pioneer in new technology in the enterprise mobility space. So please welcome with me Pej Roshan.
Hi, Dwayne. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Pej, I know we're going to get into some predictions with you today, but before we get started, what I want to do is kind of dig in a little bit, give us a little brief background, just a little story about yourself.
Oh, very good. I started my career in Cisco, where we acquired a company called Aeronet back in 2000, and for me that was a very, big departure from classic networking, the ability to do something wirelessly with wireless LAN. I think we take it for granted now, but at the time I was amazed that I could get, network connectivity without a wire. And as we built that product line out, we started looking at new ways to provide applications to take advantage of wireless LAN. And for me, I always felt the killer application was going to be voice as an alternative to using cellular when you were in building. And so that led us to start looking at the ability to converge both cellular usage and Wi-Fi inside of a single device, and integration into SIP-based PBXs were starting to come out at that same time. And so all of these elements started to converge, of devices coming out with Wi-Fi back in roughly 2005, SIP-based PBXs hitting the mainstream, and wireless LAN starting to become very commonplace inside of the enterprise. And obviously smartphones, about that time, that was really when you started to see the rise of companies like Palm and companies like RIM, and Windows Mobile started to really rise and have some validity inside of the enterprise. And that was where we decided to form Agito Networks to build this product out. And we saw, all of those kind of hopes and dreams come true inside of our product. And we're right now seeing the market embrace it and accept it as smartphones, tablets, mobile devices in general, wireless networks, and SIP-based unified communications really as commonplace and almost a core part of the enterprise's daily life, and we're glad to be a part of that. And certainly glad to be a part of it here at ShoreTel as well.
Can you talk about any of the things you're working on at ShoreTel for this year?
Sure. Our focus area is continue to expand our heterogeneous support. So one of the things that's pretty unique about what we do is, despite being part of ShoreTel, which is a SIP-based PBX and UC provider, is that we support a broad range of not only handsets and mobile devices, but also back end. So we support not only ShoreTel, but Cisco and Avaya, Nortel, and other current and legacy-based systems. And so for us, we'll always continue to work on expanding the number of backends that we support, the number of devices and device types and OS types that we support, but also different modalities of communication. So obviously, voice was where we started early on, and you can see now that UC is really taking center stage, and so we'll continue expanding those modalities across a broad variety of heterogeneous systems. And there's a couple other things that we're working on that unfortunately I can't talk about right now, so you'll have to stay tuned for that later this year when we announce them.
That's great. Well, maybe we can get you back on Disrupt Live when those things happen, and we can break it here. So let's get into some of the predictions you have for 2012.
Absolutely. I think the most interesting one for me is around security. With security when it comes to mobile devices, I think we're at the inflection point in the market where, when you factor in this consumerization of IT, or BYOD, bring your own device, enterprises are now at the point where they've got to make some very strong decisions around mobile security for not only the corporate-owned assets for mobile devices, but the non-corporate-owned assets, the individual liable assets. And so, looking at kind of the defense in depth there, making sure that not only do the applications have good baked-in security. Application layer SSL is a good example where each application is independently connecting at the app layer, not at the network layer, into the enterprise, which protects the corporate network more so than protects the mobile device, which is key, as these devices really aren't doing much if they're not accessing some corporate data for enterprise users. But also making sure the basics are covered, that you've got application wipe, device wipe, passwords and PIN codes on the phone, so unauthorized access is, if not prohibited, certainly limited and restricted, and so on. And making sure that with all of these security elements, that it still remains simple and easy for the end user. If it gets too cumbersome, we found that even the most non-technical end user has an uncanny ability to delete, disable, or frankly just not use the solution. So, my first prediction is that you're going to continue to see security take center stage, and while that might seem like a platitude, I think it's going to be a core element of what's top of mind for enterprise decision makers with mobility.
What are some of the real life application, and what should they be looking for? What should they be concerned about, and how can they solve some of these problems?
Well, I always love to give the example of my wife. My wife works for a large company, and they switched to a BYOD model. And so she went from a corporate-sponsored device to having to go buy her own phone and her own plan. But she was very much inclined to want to connect her phone, which happens to be an iPhone, and get corporate email and access to corporate applications. So that is very much what we see across the general enterprise within verticals and across different enterprise sizes. So as small as SMB type enterprises and SOHO enterprises to large corporate multinationals that would be in the Fortune 50. It's very consistent across the board. So you're looking at very common use cases: email, voice applications and VoIP, UC-based applications, access to corporate apps like Salesforce automation or CRM, and so on are just the basics. But even at that basic level, you need to ensure that those kind of tenets that I highlighted around application security, device security, and mitigation of device disclosure are attended to. And that could be, at the application layer, like, ShoreTel Mobility as an example. Our product has a lot of those security components baked in. For applications that don't, some of that can be mitigated by using mobile device management or some policy-based enterprise app store type applications as well.
Good information. What's the next prediction you have?
I think we saw a lot of exciting news in the early days of mobile devices in the enterprise, particularly around the tablet, from companies like Cisco, like Avaya, even RIM, coming out with these new tablet form factors. And I think the one thing that I've really observed, and over the last year, I guess no more than a year and a half, if you can believe it, iPad is still really quite a new phenomenon, although it feels like old hat to us now probably, right. Is that I don't think we'll see a delineation between a consumer tablet and an enterprise tablet. I think you're just going to see tablets. So whether it's someone bringing in an iOS-based, iPad into the enterprise, or being issued that by their enterprise, or if it's Android-based or what have you, there will be only one. And I think that we'll see, kind of the death knell ring for those very expensive, high-end, enterprise-centric devices, or see them relegated to mission-specific applications. So, for example, you might see something like the Cisco CS relegated to being their high-end desk phone and taking the place of the 9900 series that they have, or the Avaya, Flair DVD device that they have as being a video appliance as opposed to a general purpose tablet, despite them running Android as an operating system. I think that the reach of Apple and Samsung and Motorola as consumer product companies into the minds of consumers, not only at home but consumers inside of the enterprise, is going to be far more powerful than even we expected, and we'll continue to see these devices surge inside of the enterprise. Both people supplying their own personal paid devices as well as corporate issued devices.
Right. Well, Pej, it was great to be with you today, to hear your predictions. I thoroughly enjoy them. I know it's going to be helpful for a lot of people who are watching us right now, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Maybe in the second or third quarter we can revisit and see how your predictions are coming along, and you can either say do your victory dance or maybe readdress some of them.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Thanks again for the opportunity to catch up. Really appreciate it, Dwayne.